We've talked a lot about the waltz and the foxtrot in dancing position and the way we move. And we realize that at the bronze level, most of your dancing is in waltz and foxtrot. A large percentage of you, however, have been introduced to tango. So we want to make sure we say a little bit about the tango. We're going to talk about the hold and the position and talk about the way you move, because it does differ. In the more advanced tapes, we'll get into a little bit more serious conversation about it. But let's just talk a little bit about it now. And Janelle, I think you wanted to talk about the way you move in tango, right, as contrasted with the way you're moving in the other dances.
Right. The contrast is this. We've been talking a lot about the tracking of the legs and moving on a straight line and so forth, and the brushing of the feet. Well, in tango, we actually turn the foot out. We're not going to go into a whole lot of detail, but it's very important that early on in the early stages, you just learn that tango has the foot turned out whenever you step forward on the left foot, my toes turned out. And then when I step forward on the right foot, my toe is turned in. So another thing, if I have a straight line in front of me, there's a line on the floor, I'm not sure you can see it, but imagine there's a straight line. I would step forward with my foot sort of crossing that line. I'm not turning it out a lot, but just slightly across, and I'm striking the back corner of my heel as I take that step. The next step, I'm going to strike the back inside corner of my right foot. So that foot's turned in a little bit. So I've got foot turned out, foot turned in, foot turned out, foot turned in. And this is kind of a good practice, just keeping a big wide hold out in front, even by yourself. Your knees are lightly flexed. They're not bent. A lot of times people think tango bends the knees, but we don't bend them in that manner. We just let them stay a little bit soft so that you're able to balance. The other thing about it is that we don't actually brush the feet and keep contact with the floor like we do in foxtrot and waltz. Instead, we actually pick the foot up and place it. We pick it up and place it. Therefore, you actually have to be balanced on one leg in order to do it. I'd have to be balanced over my right leg in order to take a step with my left foot in tango. I'd have to be balanced on my left leg in order to take a step with my right foot in tango. So a good practice is to balance and step, balance and step, balance and step, and I'm turning my toe in with the right foot and out, working on balancing and striking each step.
So Janelle's talked about the way you move in tango. Now I want to talk about the differences in the way we hold. We know that we're offset and parallel in our regular dance position. I'll use my tie, since I've gone to the trouble of wearing one today, to indicate where that position is. So when Janelle stands on my right side, she should be far enough to her left that my tie is free. What we used to practice is I used to just drape my tie up onto her right shoulder. If that hung right over her shoulder, we knew we were in the right position together. That gives us the feeling of being lady on the man's right side, offset and parallel. When we do that, my arms feel wide and open, and you can see where I connect on her back is high and open feeling. My left wrist is pretty straight, and she's connecting up on top of my hand. However, when I dance the tango, I go from this position to a wound down and left position. So my right side feels as though it's come down and in and forward. My left side feels like it's gone up and back, and I feel as though I've turned more to my left. My legs feel a little bit more crisscrossed and making more of what we call an hourglass shape, where the knees veer inward. Now, if I just stood normally with Janelle, and then I did my now tango position, watch where my arm has to drop in. So normal position, tango position. Now, my right hand comes down further around her body, my right arm. My left hand, because now she's stuck with a lot of right arm left over, has to come in slightly. So I come in with my left hand and around with my right arm. I almost go what you would call across her spine with my right hand. That's what it'll feel like, guys, for you. Now that leaves a lot of extra arm here for Janelle. So what she's going to do is take that arm over the top and then underneath my upper arm to make the connection. I feel definitely as though my legs are very forward, and I feel that her legs are very forward, and the hold now feels much more compact and a little bit lower because I went from here with my arm to down and in on her body. So very much more compact, which then is conducive to moving in the way that we do. In fact, the way that we hold makes the way that we move a necessity. We can't just move in a regular swinging leg pattern. Janelle, did you want to say something about the frame?
Just
the lady?
Basically what you had said. I'm going to stand on my left foot. I'm still keeping my thighs forward just like before. That hasn't changed. And as Jim brings his arm around me, I drop my arm down and then up underneath his arm. And so I'm not pulling in on him at all. In fact, if anything, I'm just keeping my arms forward. Just like that part's like all the other dances. My arms are forward. That's mainly it.
Now, just one little pet peeve that we see all the time, and it's when the guys tend to move in tango, two things they do. They corral the lady with their right shoulder, so we want to keep the right shoulder out of the equation, keep it back, only swing the arm forward, almost like you're shaking hands with someone, the shake hand hold. And when they move, we go from suddenly normal, nose over the left front pocket, to looking in the lady's ear. So we don't really want to look in the lady's ear. Even though the steps curves gradually to the left, we want to keep the face looking left. Keep the face looking left. And that will give you the tango atmosphere.